Transforming customer experiences at Greenfields of Geneva, a continuing care retirement community. Greenfields of Geneva, or GOG, is a continuing care retirement community that was established in 2012 and is currently located 40 miles northwest of Chicago, Illinois. The facility includes numerous activities and amenities such as golf courses, restaurants, book clubs, and Wii sports tournaments. As you can see, the facility offers many different levels of care, from independent living to private skilled nursing for its residents. GOG is a faith-based not-for-profit that is sponsored by Friendship Senior Options, which owns and operates another CCRC and boasts that they are the visionaries in senior services. GOG is comprised of 147 independent living apartments, 51 assisted living units, 26 memory care units, and 43 private skilled nursing rooms. It is likely that 70% of those over the age of 75 will require some sort of long-term senior care in the final 1 to 5 years of their lifetime. In order to understand how to transform GOG, we must first understand their industry. Here we can see the pestle analysis for the long-term care industry. From a political and legal perspective, this realm generally protects senior interests in various ways, but the long-term care industry struggles from financing as politicians have not found an adequate way to fund these initiatives. From an economical position, the average lifetime expectancy of the population has increased, which gives people more time to save money for retirement. Unfortunately, the cost of care has exploded in the last decade, which has made this increased savings much less valuable. With longer lives comes a greater amount of the population that needs long-term care, creating a larger demographic to target. Although more preference is leaning towards at-home care and away from retirement communities, the majority of U.S. seniors cannot afford it. Technology will also play a role in this industry as it will provide heavy automation for continuous activities such as monitoring, which will lead to large savings. The issue that is apparent with these activities is the Orwellian feeling from constant monitoring that has a high barrier of resistance to overcome. There are numerous problems that GOG needs to address in order to become a top competitor in the CCRC industry. At the moment, GOG is highly dependent on the use of manual recording and delivery of care, which has made it rather difficult for people to manage scheduling, care coordination, and billing processes efficiently. Additionally, team collaboration has been an issue due to handwritten charting and the lack of a centralized repository for up-to-date resident data, making transitions in care between CCRC staff difficult. There is currently no method of coordination for data sharing between GOG and external providers, such as hospitals and geriatric clinics, and there is a great need to understand market data more dynamically in order to address occupancy fill rates and make marketing tactics more targeted and successful. The low fill rate in assisted living since 2012 and higher expenses related to the campus and staffing required is a clear problem that needs to be addressed daily at GOG. Resolution of these problems requires more data and changing operations through the use of database decision-making in a real-time basis. Without this change, GOG may face larger concerns from bondholders, banks, and residents and could trigger defaults evolving towards solvency issues. The following diagram shows that data flow is not integrated with the as-is process at GOG. Staff enter data into paper records but generate separate encounter forms for billing. Simple rules or guidelines are often applied to a small sample of paper records to determine whether goals have been met. However, these reports are traditionally directed to the Quality Improvement Program for the purposes of accreditation, but there is no return of such information to relevant staff. There is no attempt to analyze any data captured on the paper record, and trends, operational data, and external big databases are not taken into consideration to make processes at GOG more efficient. This diagram shows that data processes are tightly integrated in the 2B process. Staff enter data into the EMR, which then populates a comprehensive data repository. Additional sources of big data are incorporated in the data repository, and analytics are then used to identify how the facility is performing as well as the needs of the community. This information is then transmitted directly back to the staff through reporting mechanisms and is used to improve their performance and make better decisions. The proposed infrastructure at GOG covers hardware components such as mobile workstations, desktop computers, laptops, kiosks, mobile devices, servers, routers, and additional peripherals, including printers, scanners, or projectors. Hardwiring of cables, wireless access points, connectors, or ports are also included. The proposed architecture specifies how data flows through the new information model. This includes three key components: the user interface, the intranet, and external interfaces. The user interface is the most visible to GOG staff and is the mechanism by which they enter data into the system and view reports or dashboards. The intranet is the communication network contained entirely within the organization where storage and analysis of data can be completed and observed. Lastly, our architecture will have external interfaces with health partners, such as hospitals and outpatient offices, as well as the Health Information Exchange. Big data sources from the community, state and federal agencies, and entitlement programs can be pulled in as well, making the GOG database comprehensive and unique. In order to make this transition successful, GOG will need to focus a great deal of time on retraining staff. All direct care staff should be trained on the newly implemented process and should understand how data will now flow throughout the organization. Time should be allotted for GOG staff to be trained on the EMR software, and an individual assessment of staff computer skills should be conducted to see which staff need more basic training in order to become more comfortable with technology in general. Technical training, in terms of how to operate certain devices such as kiosks, iPads, etc., should be performed, and all staff handling resident data should be trained and certified on HIPAA guidelines, privacy and information security, as well as how to properly manage data in a healthcare setting. Finally, managers, specific staff, and senior management need to be trained on the use of dashboards and how to make database decisions as more data is entered into the system. The project will produce new revenue streams through allowing GOG to increase pricing and attract more residents. This is accomplished by using data in a cutting-edge way to make better decisions, increase efficiencies, and to be seen as the preferred provider by both physicians and seniors in the PMA alike. Occupancy across the campus will increase by 11 to 23 units, bringing GOG close to 98% occupancy within 5 years. While this increase may be related to other occupancy initiatives, the proper use of technology deserves credit for at least a portion of the success. Prices can be raised due to this increased demand as well, but we believe that an increase over 1.5% above the base increase will price GOG out of the market. Additionally, staff reductions are necessary and can range from 0 to 10% depending on how well staff absorbs the opportunities for efficiencies from this technology. Costs will increase based on the expenses related to both the software maintenance as well as the need to secure the new information being stored in the EMR and in Tableau, and a database manager will be needed to manage this new influx of data and data processing. Finally, funds need to be allocated to target marketing to achieve revenue increases noted, and the costs related to overhead to manage these new technologies also must be recognized. These results need to be evaluated in light of the project cost of about $775,000, which includes a generous contingency of 20% to allow for unknown costs and delays that may come to light over a 16-month timeline. Based on our calculations, revenue increases will start out slowly and could range from $101,000 to $781,000 in the first year alone. These successes, however, provide a foundation for exponential growth over 5 years, between $1.1 million and $2.8 million as GOG's reputation and service record becomes known regionally and nationally as a point of excellence. The project is highly focused on automation and efficiency, which means that costs are relatively fixed going forward, moving from a maximum of about $400,000 in year 1 to $432,000 in year 5. GOG is at a critical point in its efficiency at this point because the CCRC typically covers its massive fixed costs in the 70 to 85% occupancy range and retains most of the gross margin earned above 80%. Since GOG is currently achieving occupancy within this range, it is highly recommended that GOG spend a relatively small amount related to this project to attain these margins from the last 20% of the occupants. This will bring GOG to a full occupancy status, which obviously is highly efficient in cost absorption. The return on this investment is measured using 3 different methods: internal rate of return, break-even analysis, and determining when cash flow turns positive. The internal rate of return spans from 6% at the pessimistic level to 102% at the optimistic level. Even with little change in operating results at the pessimistic level, an ROI of 6% is beneficial as it is above the interest rate that GOG could earn on a general investment of funds and is slightly higher than the current cost of capital related to borrowing capacity. The potential for a 69% to 102% return lies in the challenge of getting staff to use the data provided to change decision-making and act differently. This potential is clearly well worth the risk, as recouping the investment of about $775,000 illustrated by the break-even point, spans from 1.4 to 4.4 years. This time frame is certainly reasonable, as the project also provides intangible benefits by continuing to prepare GOG for a future in which healthcare technology will certainly be required by new generations of physicians, nursing staff, and hospital partners. Overall, this project will generate profitability right away due to the low ongoing fixed costs related to the technology. The major cost is mainly related to implementation. The duration of the project is 16 months and includes 2 stages. Stage 1 includes the EMR implementation milestones, and the first 8 months are devoted to the EMR from selection to pilot. After the EMR stage has progressed 4 months, the multifaceted database construction will begin in Stage 2. This stage is devoted to the data and analytics implementation milestones and includes capturing data from GOG's own EMR, as well as importing big data from entitlement programs and other open or purchasable databases. At the completion of this phase, GOG will be in the position to analyze the data, but will still need to train all staff on both the EMR and the new data analytics capabilities. In order to ensure that this project remains on track, GOG management should focus on project timeline measures. Management should identify the critical path in this project in order to determine which tasks are crucial to complete on time to meet their project deadline. This will help with schedule development and resource allocation. Monthly review of measures such as percentage of time versus planned amount of work completed each month, percentage of costs spent versus planned amount of work each month, and the number of change orders will allow GOG to observe whether the project team is encountering significant problems related to the schedule or budget, among other things as noted here. Effectiveness measures from this transformation can be categorized as health-related, operational, and external. With this transformation, we expect there to be an increase in the number of electronic care plans completed and delivered, and we expect to see an overall improvement in resident conditions and activity. CCRC operations will become more efficient as manual labor processes will now be replaced by a new, more efficient system that eliminates duplication. We should begin to see reduced hours per resident day for direct care staff, as well as reduced overhead costs as a percentage of revenue. Externally, we expect to see an increase in the number of people on wait lists hoping to enter GOG for more targeted marketing campaigns and an improved reputation. We also expect GOG to be ranked as the preferred provider with area ACOs and PMA healthcare providers. Overall, this project will provide significant value as it will position GOG as a premier cutting-edge provider that understands their market needs and customer desires. This knowledge will produce efficient care, whether it is for nursing residents who need 24-hour medical type care or through anticipating the social needs of AL and IL residents. The use of technology can be a market advantage as customers and investors will see GOG as the provider which is being creative and forward-thinking in the management of care and operations. As interoperability between systems becomes more important in communicating due to high-tech requirements on other healthcare providers, GOG will be noted as the provider who satisfies these needs and is easy to work with. Data analytics will help GOG determine how they can specialize their services to meet the needs of the community related to seniors before the community is even aware of these patterns and needs. Finally, as GOG has the opportunity to grow, this technology provides the foundation to move quickly with a method that combats the continuing shortage in caregivers. We look forward to proceeding with making GOG the premier provider in the community for years to come.